So, we're all sort of at different places with Breaking Bad right now. I know you guys are probably watching regularly, you guys maybe less so, you're catching up. I'm sure you and the crowd are sort of in similar places. Some of you are big fans, you've been waiting for a chance to talk about the show in public, but maybe it's that person you're with hasn't caught all the way up. Well, we're going to recap this latest episode, Ozymandias, in a way that we can discuss universally. Vince Gilligan has said this is his favorite episode of the show. So, of course, when we left off at the end of Tahajali, a situation had developed between the characters that had put them in a situation where perhaps certain characters thought that things are going to go a particular way they wanted things to go. And then by the end of that particular episode, we found the situation had now favored a certain different set of people, or maybe didn't. So we open Ozymandias, and I really think this opening really speaks to Vince Gilligan's sort of brutal story of inevitability. I think that's a big theme for his, as we can particularly see in a thing that a character says to the other character at the beginning of the episode, the first line of dialogue. When we see certain characters in a setting which is familiar to us, but perhaps has been recontextualized. As we continue, after the cold open, I am on the edge of my seat. I'm sure you are or will be. When we see that a situation that we have been aware of recently is suddenly the situation has been altered in terms of where the characters are relative to where they were the last time we saw them. Crucial decisions are made which further adjust the fates of the characters which are present in that situation. And at the end of this particular scene, I am just absolutely shocked in silence as I watch certain characters come to conclusions which are different than the conclusions I expected them to draw before I had begun watching that episode. Then, of course, we follow the B story, or maybe the A. We follow we see characters which may be different characters, not necessarily. And we see a conversation between two characters which becomes a fateful conversation between three characters. As decisions, as choices are made to reveal things that may or may not have been referred to in previous episodes or seasons. That might be saying too much. Let's say the characters engage in a conversation which we have not yet seen in this episode, and perhaps in other episodes, but I don't want to get too clear about that. For those of you who are still catching up. And then, of course, I really think just how low a particular character's dignity has been brought is really vividly illustrated in a particular scene where we see said character doing a thing which we have not seen that character do before. That's for sure. Yeah. Lastly, skipping ahead a little bit, we see characters who have previously interacted in a particular way suddenly change their interactions in a very visually interesting and startling way. And then certain characters are forced to make choices that may or may not be able to be undone. We will have to see in future weeks if said choices are to be undone. And finally, a fatal conversation takes place between two or multiple characters, which will further set up decisions which will be made in future episodes. Now, just some stray thoughts I had watching this episode. Boy, I really didn't expect that character to reveal that thing to that other character quite that way. Holy cow. Did you catch the Easter egg where the thing we might have seen from a previous episode showed up in this episode? I was pretty delighted when I caught that. Twitter caught it for sure. Don't you feel like Walt is kind of like a particular object that was referenced at one point during this episode? And last but not least, oi, ay, 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 ay.